Start recording.
You comfortable?
Yeah. Just slide down a little more.
Morning, everyone. I call this hearing to order. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Present today, sitting as the County Board of Equalization are Mike Arzi, Christy Haswell, Holly Jennings, Nick Siddle, and I'm Lonnie Wright. Also present is Ida Shunk-Thompson, Clerk for the Board of Equalization. Mike Williams will act as the hearing officer for this matter. Board recognizes the presence of County Assessor Paul Fall, his counsel Clint Beaver, Deputy County Attorney Kimberly Lodovici, Property Appraiser, and Rainey Lehman, Property Tech. The board recognizes petitioners Dustin and Brenda Bates. I will turn the hearing over to the hearing officer, Mike Williams.
Thank you. All right, so my name is Mike Williams, and I am the hearing officer, so I will be facilitating the hearing. So what I'm going to ask is everybody that's going to be testifying, I'm going to swear you in now. So if you're planning on testifying, please raise your right hand. Repeat after me. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and the matter now before the board? Thank you. Okay, so this is docket number SC 2025-01, Dustin and Brenda Bates. Do we have any stipulated exhibits, Mr. Beaver?
Mr. Williams, the assessor would offer exhibits 1 through 12. They've been provided to Bates.
Mr. Bates, do you have any objection to any of those exhibits that the county attorney is planning on?
I do.
Okay, so exhibits 1 through 12 from the assessor's side will be accepted. Mr. Bates, did you have any, I know you have stuff because we've got it up here, but Mr. Beaver, did you have any objection to the exhibits Mr. Bates is presenting?
No objection.
Okay, so we're going to admit these stipulated exhibits, so we won't be doing that one by one. So all of the evidence that you're planning on admitting right now is deemed admitted into the hearing. Do you guys want to do opening statements or just get to the case?
Do I enter in my extra evidence that I did not submit during discussion?
Once we start, you'll be able to enter that in, and Mr. Beaver will look at it and then indicate if he's got an objection or not. So now, in a typical trial, right, you have a chance to do opening statements. Board of Equalization hearing, you don't have to. I would say in the ones I've done, it's very rare that we do opening statements, but you certainly have the ability to do so. I do have a couple of things I want to bring up to make sure everybody's aware, since this is being recorded. When you talk, please make sure you identify yourself first. All right, so if anybody on the board has a question, say, raise your hand so I see it, and then state your name and ask your question. All right, so let's make sure that anytime you're talking, you're identifying yourself so that the recording can identify who's saying what. All right. Okay, so one last thing for everybody in the crowd. Hopefully everybody's got their cell phones either muted or turned off, but if you don't, please make sure that's done so we don't have the phones ringing during the hearing. So I think we're ready to start the case if there's no opening statements that we need to be done.
The assessor has no opening statement.
Okay.
I'll read an opening statement.
Okay, then Mr. Bates, have that.
Thank you. I'm a fourth generation rancher in Sheridan County. My family's ranch has been in the family for over 100 years and is listed with the Wyoming State Historic Preservation Office as a centennial ranch. When my wife and I moved back home to eastern Sheridan County, we were blessed to be able to purchase a piece of my great-grandfather's original ranch. That is the property we will be discussing today. Eastern Sheridan County is primarily rangeland used for grazing cattle, as the soil and terrain make it poor farm ground. Our property is classified as rangeland that we graze cattle on. Our property has been in the Land Resource Area 3 classification for many years, and this year it was changed to LRA, or Land Resource Area 2. This places our property into a higher valuation category, which in turn increases our property taxes. speaking with the Sheridan County Assessor's Office prior to filing my official notice of protest, I was told the maps or mapping system used was changed and shows our property to be classified differently. There is no basis for the change of the LRA map, as there has not been any new soil testing done or changes in weather patterns to constitute reclassifying our rangeland. I feel this has been done in error, and the evidence that I will present today will show that our property does not fall within the guidelines to be classified as LRA 2. It should be moved back to LRA 3 classification, and the sub-classification on our property to be adjusted correctly to achieve a fair and accurate assessment by the Sheridan County Assessor's Office.
Thank you, Mr. Bates. Generally, we won't have any questions during the opening, so as this is your hearing, since you filed the contest, you get to go first.
Okay.
So you can get started. When you're talking about exhibits that we already have up here that you entered, please refer to them by the numbers so that we can have them passed out to the board so that they get them.
The letters.
Right. And then the new stuff that you have that we don't have up here, we'll make sure you give Mr. Beaver a copy and then hand one up here so I can pass them down.
It'll just be, I got 6 copies because that's what it was told.
That'll be fine. We'll make it work.
Okay. Sorry about that.
That's no worries.
That's what it said.
Yep, we will make it work.
Okay, I would like to enter into evidence exhibit AA, which was not included in my evidence. It's actually it's page 54 of the Mapping and Agricultural Land Manual. Sorry.
Hang on just a second. So, Mr. Beaver, do you have an objection?
No objection.
Okay, thank you. Yep. Okay, I think we're ready.
Okay, so like I said, this is page 54 of the Mapping and Agricultural Land Manual produced by the Department of Revenue. It shows the different LRA classifications for Sheridan County. I'm going to break down how the taxes should be assessed on each plat of ag rangeland. In 1985, the Natural Resource Conservation Services, or NRCS, and the United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, conducted a very thorough soil study in Sheridan County. That study is still used today, as it is the most thorough study ever conducted to date. From this study, they generated soil and precipitation data that is used to assess tax on rangeland in the county. Exhibit AA shows the layout of the land resource areas throughout the state. The LRAs are established basically by elevation. If you notice in Sheridan County, as you move closer to the mountains, the LRAs go from 3 in the east to 1 being the mountains, which makes sense since they get considerably more precipitation than we do in the plains. I would also like to enter into evidence exhibit AB.
Let me ask, Mr. Beaver, any objection?
No objection.
Okay, exhibit AB is a map supplied to me by Kim from the assessor's office. Is a zoomed in view of our property from their GIS mapping program. It shows that our property is in the LRA 2 classification now. So when the mapping system was changed, our property somehow moved across this line. I feel that this was done in error, and I was told that the maps are now digitized. So for the maps to be put in a digital form, They had to take 117 maps and put these into their computer. That's how many paper maps there were just for Sheridan County alone from the original soil study conducted that is still used today. So that leaves a little room for error, in my opinion. I would now like to enter Exhibit AC, which is another map of our parcel.
Mr. Beaver, any objection?
No objection.
Thank you.
So this is another map of our parcel with soil classes on the property profile. It correlates to the different types of soil on our property, which we will get into shortly. This was also supplied to me from the assessor's office. So if you could kind of set that aside, because we'll be referring back to that particular map here shortly. So to sum up these two pieces of evidence, the LRAs separate the large areas of land in the county based on precipitation. The R subclasses shown in Exhibit AC show the different soil production classes for each piece of property within an LRA. So the LRAs break up the big chunks, then the Rs break up the smaller pieces of land, which Wyoming rangeland is valued by the production or the amount of forage an acre of land can produce. Now I would like to enter into evidence Exhibit J, which was from my original.
Give us a second to pass that out.
I'm a little nervous I haven't done this before.
I'm a little nervous and I've done this before, so you're fine.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
I had a question for Mr. Bates. Oh,
Say your name, please.
Christy Haswell. I had a question for Mr. Bates on Exhibit AB. So the purple on that is zone, is LRA.
So the purple is LRA2, and then that kind of more pinkish color, kind of to the right, is LRA3.
Okay, so this was the previous map.
Nope, that's the current.
Okay.
Okay,
Property was in 3 in years prior, many years prior. So it was in the more pinkish color.
okay,
Once they put the maps, digitized the maps, then somehow the line moved and now my property is in LRA2.
blues too. Okay, thank you.
We're almost getting to hand them out. We gotta go through them all together, so.
I got all day.
Mr. Williams, one more question for Mr. Bates. This is Christy Haswell. Exhibit AA, so is that the original from 1985? Is that the 1985 NRC?
To my knowledge.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Great. All right. Now I'd like to enter into evidence exhibit J, which is from the Department of Revenue's Mapping and Agricultural Manual. I would like to point out in the bottom left-hand corner of the page where it states, it's important to recognize the importance that precipitation plays in the valuation of rangeland. Then if you look to the right-hand side, I've got those orange arrows on there, but you'll see the 5 different LRA categories that were generated from the 1985 study and how they are classified by the amount of annual precipitation. Please pay close attention to LRA 2 and 3, as those are the two that are in question today. LRA 2, where our property is currently being assessed at, has to have 15 to 19 inches of precipitation to be classified as LRA 2. And LRA 3, where our land was previously being assessed at, is 10 to 14 inches of precipitation. Exhibit K.
Thanks. I think we're good.
Exhibit K shows the average precipitation over a 50-year period for Claremont area. As you can see, I underlined in orange, the annual precipitation is less than the 15 inches that's required to be placed in the LRA 2 classification. Please note at the top of the page, the name of the weather station, the Claremont 5 Southwest. Now I'd like to enter Exhibit L.
We're separating them out now, so it'll be a little quicker as we get further into it, but.
So I'll go alphabetically here for a little bit.
After we just put like. Z's or something.
Okay, Mr. Bates?
Exhibit L is from usclimatedata.com, also showing.
I have
Mr. Williams?
Oh, we've got F, sorry, we get the wrong ones. We need Exhibit L. Sorry. I didn't look at the letter. Oh, that's
That's the wrong.
Well, then I made all my copies, some of the letters didn't come through, I guess.
You've got F, so when you go to F, it'll go a lot quicker.
That was one that I skipped.
Thank you.
All good.
Don't have that leaf laying down somewhere.
A refractorate.
Okay, I think we're ready.
Okay, Exhibit L is from the usclimatedata.com, also showing a 30-year average annual precipitation being less than the required 15 inches of precipitation to be classified as LRA2. Again, please note the name of the weather station. The reason I want to draw attention to the name of the weather station is because that particular weather station is owned by the National Weather Service and is located on my neighbor's property. Exhibit M.
Anticipation's killing me.
We're interrupting your flow a little bit.
Luckily, I've got my brain right now. Exhibit M is from Google Earth showing the location of my property in relation to the weather station that we just reviewed data from, approximately half a mile away.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Holly Jennings. Is the top point or the bottom point, which one is the weather station? Bottom point.
Yeah, the weather station is bottom point in the nice green field. Then my property is at Bald Hill up there.
Okay, thank you. Just clarifying.
No, you're good. Great question. Exhibit N. Exhibit N is from the Wyoming State Climate Office, and it shows a 30-year average precipitation from 1961 to 1990, and then also the average precipitation from 1971 to 2000. And it's showing that the average annual precipitation actually decreased by about a half an inch in those timeframes. And again, it shows the same exact weather station there as well. Keeping in mind that the study from 1985 was done 40 years ago. Now I would like to enter into evidence, exhibit AD.
AD, this is one that we don't have, right?
This is one you don't
Okay.
have it here. And it's basically, this is an updated map. In my original evidence, I had, the maps from the 1985 study. This is an updated map from the NRCS website. And then all the papers to follow with it. It's kind of a
Okay,
package.
so each packet is an exhibit,
Yes.
the whole packet's an exhibit? Okay.
Does that work that way?
Good. Mr. Beaver, do you anticipate any objection to this?
Second, please.
Yep.
No objection.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Bates.
Okay, page 1 and 2 show the different soil types on our property. I would like you to take 1 minute and just compare the very front page, the page with the different colors on it, and compare that to, exhibit AC that I asked you to hold on. And look how closely they resemble each other. Okay, so basically how this website works is each different soil type that's identified on the property is assigned a number. As you can see on the front page, it's easier to see on that one because it's color coded. You can see each number for each different type of soil. Each soil type is explained in the pages to follow. As you can see on page 4, flip back 4 pages. I actually overshot my property when I was mapping it out on this website. I only have 131.75 acres, I think it is, and my area of interest is 322, so I overshot it by about a half an acre. But I will split hairs. The next 3 pages show the number of acres of each soil type in the area of interest and the percentage of the area of interest. Area of interest being what represents my property on the first pages. In the following pages after that, we're going to go to number 116. Is like a description. So if you notice under the map unit setting, it clearly states the mean or average annual precipitation for this particular type of soil is 10 to 14 inches.
Mr. Williams? Yeah, just a question. This is Christy Haswell. I'm not sure what page we're on. What does
I
it
think it's-
look like?
It's the one that says 116 on the top, right?
Yeah,
Big
it's
like
like
it.
it.
So it says 1 of 3 down here at the bottom. Oh, I'm Nick Siddle, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And then if you go down to the map unit settings, you can see the mean annual precipitation, mean or average annual precipitation, 10 to 14 inches. Oh, and then if you reference back to Exhibit J where the Department of Revenue classifies LRA 3 as 10 to 14 inches. If you would like, you can page through all the different soil descriptions to see the annual precipitation. But there are only 3 soil types in my property, as per this specific map, that have more than 14 inches of precipitation. They are soil type 118, 261, and 320. And I would also like to point out that the soil types 118 and 320 only account for approximately 3 acres of the total area of interest in this map. These 3 soil types make up a bald ridge at the back of my property. They are projected to have higher precipitation based on the elevation. I also want to point out soil types 260 and 261 for 30 to 50% slopes. So precipitation runoff is almost instantaneous and erosion is very high. Hence the little to no vegetation growth, and a cow couldn't get up there and graze on it anyways. I also want to point out under map unit composition for soil type 260 and 261, which I've marked on here in pamphlets. The NRCS classifies 30% of this soil type area as badland. The last page of the package shows the definition of badlands from the glossary on the NRCS website. The part I would like to highlight is badlands develop on surfaces that have little to no vegetated cover, overlying unconsolidated or poorly cemented materials. I would now like to indicate evidence exhibit AE, which is an email from Kim at the assessor's office.
Thank you, Mr. Beaver.
And it's describing wasteland, basically the same as what NRCS calls it. I feel that 30% of the soil type 260 and 261 areas should be classified as waste, since there is severe erosion, little to no vegetated cover, and the slopes are too steep for cattle to graze. I would now like to enter into evidence marked G and AH, which are just a couple pictures of the ridgeline, classified as soil type 261 by the NRCS.
Thank you, Mr. Beaver. They are admitted.
So, I guess we're ready again.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, so those pictures are of that bald ridge I was talking about that are classified as soil type 261 by the NRCS and are classified as subclass R5 by the assessor's office in the property profile. Now I need exhibit C and D from my original. We'll also need this. The AC.
Here.
Go ahead.
Okay, Exhibit C and D are our property profiles for years 2024 and 2025. As you can see from Exhibit C, 2024 property profile, our rangeland is classified as LRA 3-4, which is the NRCS or the Department of Revenue classifies 3 and 4 the same just because of the precipitation is the same, but the growing season is a little bit shorter for LRA. And if you look at Exhibit D, you will notice that the classification was changed to LRA 2. If you would also move to the right on both of those papers, 5 columns, you'll notice the value per unit or the value per acre increased considerably. Keeping in mind that this is the same piece of ground we're talking about here. I would like to enter into evidence Exhibit E. It's from my original.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Bates.
Okay. Exhibit E shows the mathematical formula used to calculate the land value per acre. This is from Chapter 10 of the Wyoming Department of Revenue Rules. From this formula, as the yield per acre increases, the land value increases, and in turn my taxes increase. So just to reiterate, moving my land from LRA 3 to LRA 2 increases my yield per acre, which increases my land value per acre, just by moving it across a line on the map. All right, next I would like to refer back to Exhibit AC, which is this petition map. And Exhibit D, which is my 2025 property profile. Looking at the map used by the assessor's office, there is considerably more of the blue area, or R5, inside of our property line than there is of the tan or R4. Now, if you look at the 2025 property profile, or Exhibit D, in the center of the page, down towards the bottom, you will see subclass R5. Right above it, you see 81.24 acres. And right above that, you will see subclass R4 and 122 acres. I would say that those two subclasses on my tax assessment were transposed, and that I should be taxed 122 acres of R5 and 84.24 acres of R4. Comparing the map to the property assessment.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Christy Haswell, Mr. Bates, could you tell me the acreage for R4 again? What you think it should be?
Well, I believe just using the numbers that the assessor's office came up with. Basically what I'm saying, if you look at that map that was supplied by the assessor's office, R5, or the blue area, is considerably larger than the tan area, or R4. So I think those numbers have possibly been transposed, and we should be at 81.24 acres of R4 and 122 acres of R5.
Oh, instead of R3, okay. Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Therefore, we're being overtaxed on that property. My feeling is I'm being overtaxed on my property. Now I'd like to enter into evidence exhibit AF.
So this is a new one, right?
This is a new one.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
And this is, Mr. Beaver, this is my calculations of a fair and accurate assessment.
No objection. Thank you, Mr. Beaver.
Mr. Williams.
Go ahead.
Christie Haswell, Mr. Bates.
Yes.
So this would be without the residential line? Correct.
This is just
Okay.
ag land, no residential
Okay.
whatsoever.
Okay. So that, no disagreement from the residential from 2024
No, ma'am.
or 2025? Okay,
I'm just
okay.
Specifically talking about ag.
Hey, okay. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Beaver.
Okay. So exhibit AF is my calculations of a fair and accurate assessment of the ag rangeland on our property. I utilized the 2025 Wyoming Ag Land Valuation Study that was supplied to me by the County Assessor's Office. I used the LRA 3-4 classification as that's the category that our property fits in per the NRCS studies that the Department of Revenue uses to value ag rangeland. I switched the acres between R4 and R5 to better represent the R subclass map, Exhibit AC, provided by the Assessor's Office. I then took 30% of the R5 subclass and entered it as waste and valued it as such, as that's how the NRCS and the Department of Revenue define badlands or wasteland, which came out to a total assessed value of our rangeland at $2,000.54. And I guess worth noting on here, soil type 260 is also classified as 30% waste, which I did not take that into calculation on my assessment. So to wrap up my evidence, I leave you with 3 points. The LRI classification line moved with no change in weather pattern and no new soil tests conducted to constitute the change. I have found errors in the data from the County Assessor's Office. And lastly, I have provided what I consider a fair and accurate assessment of our rangeland using rules and land valuations from the Wyoming State Department of Revenue and soil studies from the NRCS, which are used by the Wyoming Department of Revenue. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Beaver, do you have any questions? Or do you want to go to your?
Thank you, Mr. Mr. Bates, can we go back to your exhibit D? Mr. Bates, you were pointing out to board on this exhibit that you felt that the subclass R4 and R5 A group numbers had been transposed.
I'm assuming that.
Yeah, you didn't undertake any methodology to accurately measure those two acreages.
Well, from the NRCS website, it shows area 261, which is listed on your, the AC map. Find that. Map, I told it was over the same side and then I didn't. So comparing the maps of Exhibit AC and Exhibit AD, it looks very clear to me, soil type 261 and the R5 classification would be very close to the same. And then if you page back, 4 pages, you will see the map unit legend, and I actually highlighted, I believe, on your map unit legend. It shows areas in, or acres in that area of interest to be 94.4. Which is over the 81.24.
Okay, I guess if you could go to AC, and we've got pink, yellow, and blue within your parcel. Just identifying by color, so we can use this exhibit to follow. Which of the colors do you think were transposed?
The yellow and the blue.
And that's based on an assumption. Just testify.
It's based on, there's more blue in that area than there is of the yellow. I'm not disagreeing with the acreage that the assessor's office says. I just, in my opinion, I cannot see how you can get 80, what was it, 84? 81 acres out of the blue and the yellow being 122 acres.
Thank you for clarifying that. That's all the questions I have.
All right, so Mr. Beaver, are you prepared to begin your side of the case?
Yes.
Thank you. Would it, just to be clear, since we have your evidence has already been all admitted, rather than set it all out, just want the packets to go out now to everybody and you can refer to them, they can.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that.
Give us just a second and we'll be able to go.
Go ahead, Mr. Beaver.
It does recall Kimberly Lodovici. Kimberly, how are you employed?
property appraiser, Sheridan County Assessor's Office,
How long have you had that position?
2 years.
And are you certified in any manner in that position?
Certified as a property appraiser through IAAO as set forth in state statutes.
And just in general, what are your responsibilities in that position?
We review and list property. We assist with exemptions. I receive agricultural classification affidavits and partner with my team to process those through. There's many more things between the field and the office that we oversee, personal property, I have a hand in a lot of that.
Okay, you made reference to an affidavit. Can you describe what that is?
Sure, when somebody wants to apply for an agricultural classification for tax assessing purposes, they begin with an affidavit that outlines the activities that are being done on the property. That affidavit is set by the state, so the form of it and the questions that are on there are set in statute. They answer the questions as to the use of the property, return it to our office with any validation for consideration.
Okay. I'm sure we're all familiar with residential property valuations since we all have homes and get tax bills and such, but this subject property is ag property. Could you tell the board what are the steps in the process of valuing ag property in your office?
If there's a home on the parcel of land, we account for that as residential because that's not actual production. We have to value agricultural property based off the production that the ground can give, the ability to produce. Those rules and guidelines are set forth by the state, so we then turn to all of the documents that the state gives us to be able to map, choose LRAs, which is also different than soil types. We break it out based off of the activity that the taxpayer tells us that they're doing on that particular piece of soil. It is then broken down. Maureen actually breaks it down in our office and does the productivity breakdown for us. The values are given to us by the state. So we don't set the values, it comes directly by the state, which is also outlined in the Mapping and Agricultural Manual.
And then once you've arrived at a value, is there a ratio applied to under state statute to ag land?
I don't understand the ratio for
For each taxable value?
9.5%.
You have the list of exhibits from the assessor's office in front of you somewhere.
Yes, sir.
So just to tie your description of the process back to these exhibits, the Exhibit 4 is titled Land Resource Area LRA Mapping of Sheridan County. Briefly, what is that Exhibit 4 about?
An LRA is a climate study that was done. It was done over a 30-year period, even though it was done a long time ago. And this is the digital mapping that the state has given us, defining the LRAs that we are to use in this land into agricultural use classification.
And I see Exhibit 6 is labeled LRA map of state of Wyoming. Does that tie back to Exhibit 4?
Yes, it's the same map. I took Exhibit 4 as a screenshot of the ArcGIS mapping system. This is the older map, I believe.
All right. And Exhibit 9 is indexed as property tax valuation methodology and assessment of Wyoming Department of Revenue. How does your office apply Chapter 9 rules? Department of Revenue?
Chapter 9 says for everything that we do and evaluate any property in a mass appraisal. And so we start there, and if it rolls into maybe an agricultural use, we then move on to Chapter 10's rules.
And am I correct that the methodology for ag is an income approach?
Yes.
And so the discussion today about the productivity of certain classifications of ag land ties into the potential income, your calculation?
Correct. Depending on the activity that's being done on the soil, depending on the soil's capability to produce, will determine what monetary taxes that person pays.
All right. And what type of ag land is the subject property?
Rangeland,
And so the use would be grazing?
crazy.
All right, and then in your index, chapter 10 is labeled designation, classification, and valuation of agricultural lands for property taxation. How do you apply exhibit 10, chapter 10?
This is the meat and potatoes of where we start to make sure that either the activity or the activity and the land both fit the classification for agricultural use as set forth by the state. This is our rules on how we are to arrive at even an LRA.
All right, and exhibit 11, mapping and agricultural manual, how do you use that?
Discusses all of the NRCS study, USDA study that Mr. Bates was referring to and how we apply it to our lands. And we are mandated to use this along with our rules, along with Exhibit 12, when placing property into an agricultural classification.
Okay, and then finally, exhibit 12, 2025 Wyoming Agricultural Land Valuation Study. Is that the ultimate product that you use for assessing 2025 ag land?
Yes. Annually, we receive an updated agricultural land valuation study, and that is what all of our tax rates are, or monetary taxation per type of soil and activity that's going on comes from. So it's set forth directly from the Department of Revenue.
So what factors might change from calendar year to calendar year in terms of this valuation study?
We have watched them move land up. For example, a couple of years ago, irrigated got a pretty good jump. So they set forth how we assess and how that monetarily rolls out to the taxpayer. They use a 5-year weighted average based off of sales and crops that they can track, and that will equate directly into a per acre fee per se for use and productivity.
In the rangeland grazing use classification, are we talking about price of livestock? Does that have any effect on it?
It's more off of how much production will the soil give, not a monetary value when it comes to rangeland. It comes how much cattle and at how many months through the year will this land sustain.
Okay, would that be an AUM?
That would be an AUM.
Define that for the board, please.
Cow calf pair.
Animal unit month?
I'm sorry,
Would
yes.
that be AUM?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, that's fine, that's fine. All right, now, you mentioned earlier in your testimony about that affidavit that the taxpayer submits regarding ag land, and I want to ask, can a taxpayer who has ag land being valued, can they make specific requests of your office to look at their specific property maybe in a different manner?
Yes, just like with any assessment, if they feel that it's done in error, we are happy to go out. They just call our office. We can examine the property, any structures that are out there, and make any corrections or changes. We do mass appraisal, so it's a little different than fee appraisal where we are in everybody's business annually.
All right, and did Mr. Bates for 2025, did he request specific classifications?
Mr. Bates just wanted to be moved back to LRA 3.
Just for the whole parcel?
Yes, the conversations that Mr. Bates and I had, he only wanted to be moved back to LRA 3. That was his request.
All right. Thank you for your testimony. Okay, I got one more question. Would you refer to Exhibit 10, which is Chapter 10 of the rules? Section 4, Romanet B5.
Yes, sir.
What does that provision in the rules allow you as the assessor to do in terms of changing LRAs based on precipitation?
The county assessor shall not modify the published LRA due to the current weather or precipitation conditions.
All right, so if a taxpayer presents you with information regarding the precipitation, what can you do with that?
We're mandated by the state unless we have our own study set up or things that we can do internally to track everything in our area. If we start moving the LRA off of the map, it will compromise uniformity in the agricultural appraisals on a mass appraisal level. It's against the rules for us to do as well.
All right, so if I understand your answer, you've given the practical and policy reasons behind the rule. The rule is pretty black and white because you read it, isn't it?
Correct. We have to be uniform when we do mass appraisal, even with agricultural properties. Otherwise, it becomes too subjective and doesn't maintain its integrity. So they give us a map to use for the LRAs. We use that map, and the line does have to fall somewhere. We use that map so that we have a hard black and white on how we manage mass appraisal to ensure there is uniformity for all of the taxpayers in agricultural classification in the county. If we start changing them because of precipitation models for the past 3 years, even though we're told not to based on current weather patterns, we start moving out of being able to deliver mass appraisal the way it is supposed to be done uniformly and equitably, and we start being more subjective, and that would be a problem for our office. That would be where we won't do an agenda.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other part of the process that we've missed, I haven't asked you about?
I don't think so.
Thank you. The assessor would now call Lorraine Lehman.
Let me interrupt for just a second. Mr. Bates, do you have any questions for the first witness?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's get that first, so we don't get too far away and forget anything. So, all right, Mr. Bates, this is the chance to ask some questions.
Okay, so you just stated, Kimberly?
Yeah.
Okay, Kim? All right. When I first went into your office and talked to you about it, and I had said that, is there any way that my land could be moved back to LRA through us talking in your office and you told me that they couldn't, right?
You can't move your property back to LRA 3.
That's what you told me. So my only course of action was to protest my taxes as I was doing today, right?
I believe I invited you to also contact your legislature because they're the ones that set forth our rules in addition to try to make changes on the legislative level so that it would be different if it rolled down to us.
Correct. But I told you they were the same ones that took 5 years to get any property tax relief.
Yes, sir, that was the conversation.
All right. So how did the LRA change to begin with, since my property had been at LRA 3 for many years? Then all of a sudden it changes.
So the maps that we had from the state were physical maps. And
So the ones from 1985?
no, the LRA, the maps that were outlined, this map. Is it from 85? I didn't look at the date on it, but the master map
Yeah, the original maps.
that we do get updates sometimes, but the maps that we were using were paper maps. The county didn't digitize the maps from the state until late '22. We began cleanup at that point to make sure that we were being accurate, fair, and consistent across the board. I believe the first things that were done were the people that were being overcharged got moved immediately. So that was the first task that was underway to protect the taxpayer. And then the people that were being undercharged got moved later. And you happened to be in that line that wasn't as crisp and clear when we were using paper maps for years. We now use digital maps, and that's what we have to adhere to.
So that was all performed in the assessor's office here in Sheridan County, the digitizing of the maps?
The maps are digitized and they're provided by the Department of Revenue.
Okay.
We had to get it to the third party that manages our GIS system, and we had to, it's quite a process to budget and get those things done.
Absolutely. And do you think, I mean, because from the original paper maps, there was 117 of those that covered all of Sheridan County, just Sheridan County.
Most maps have a lot of coverage. I'm not a map specialist, so I can't talk to that. That's why we rely on the digital version that comes from the Department of Revenue that sets our rules for that.
And were these maps, the digitized map, was it at all like certified, I guess, that people actually check the accuracy of that as per the LRA districts and the precipitation ranges for those particular properties that were to change with the digitized map?
In our office, or were they, what did you call it, certified by the state?
Did anybody like say, yeah, this is good, or they just accepted what the third party came up with?
You would have to contact the state, the Department of Revenue for that with the mapping. I don't know what their process is to take those in. They provide them to us as called out in Chapter 10, and we have to use them. So I don't know what their process is for certifying.
Okay, but in your office, you do actually, not the LRAs, but the subclass R categories, you guys do assess those in your office, correct?
Soil types are done in our office, and Lorraine does that.
Okay. And from my testimony earlier on the map and the R class 5 versus the R class or subclass 5 versus the subclass 4, so that would have been done in your office, I guess, where I am saying that those are somehow got transposed or however that happened.
So our methodology of placing properties into that may be different than your methodology that on your exhibit that you had applied. You can ask Lorraine how she does that. If I were to take your exhibit AF, which is your layout of how you classify your land, I would have to take, if I gave you this today sitting here, I would have to use your methodology that you used on this for the entire county of people that are receiving tag. Because there's several different ways, as we know, to skin a cat or get to the bottom of things. We in the county have to do it one way all the time, very particular, in order to deliver mass appraisal to be fair and consistent. So although you came up with something here, in order to apply it to mass appraisal, which is all of the agricultural parcels in the county, we would have to do the math the exact way that you did it. We would have to do the measuring the exact way that you did it. So I just want to be clear that we do control the soil types, and Lorraine can step you through that, but when we're discussing mass appraisal or moving LRAs or what soils should be in what makeup, whatever methodology we're saying is right, we have to apply to everybody, not just one-off. So if we acknowledge representation was less than what our maps are saying, then I have to look at your neighbor, the one up, and then I have to make that line somewhere, and I don't know where to make that line because I'm not educated like that. I rely on the Department of Revenue to provide those things so that we're fair and consistent and uniform in the things that we do. So Lorraine can talk to you how she breaks down properties and what that looks like with soil types, but remember, whatever it is that, however we're tabulating something, in order for it to be a mass appraisal, we have to apply it to everybody in the county, not just you, because you do have precipitation that falls into these ranges.
Okay, as far as I see that as far as the LRAs, the precipitation, but I'm more specifically asking about Exhibit AC that you sent me from your GIS. You can look at that one.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
So my question is, as far as that map and comparing that to my property profile from 2025 and the differences in acreages from R5 to R4 compared to that map, would you say that there is some sort of discrepancy whether the numbers were transposed or reported incorrectly?
I didn't perform the work, so I can't speak to the work.
Just asking your opinion.
This goes beyond the scope of her direct.
Yeah, this is exceeding the scope, but I think the question you're asking is, what do you think looking at this map? And I think the board has the map, so I don't know that pursuing that any further really helps. I can all see that and go from there. Did you have any other further questions, Mr. Bates?
I'm good.
Does the board have any questions? All right, go ahead.
Mike Arzi. Kim, have you ever been out there and looked at that property?
No, sir, I'd be happy to. Mr. Bates did not request a review.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Beaver, you got another witness for us?
Thank you. At this point, the state will call Lorraine Lehman.
Hi. Also, around the courthouse, I'm also known as Rainey, Lorraine or Rainey,
How are you employed?
with the Sheridan County Assessor's Office as a property appraiser,
How long have you held that position?
5 years.
Generally speaking, what are your responsibilities in that position?
Facilitate in the everyday jobs of our office, so processing exemption applications, assessing real property, personal property, reviewing agricultural affidavits, so forth.
All right. And in the course of your duties, did you have occasion to become familiar with Mr. Bates' 2025 assessment?
Yes.
We'll refer you to Exhibit 5, labeled in the index as LMA mapping parcel Is that the subject property we're here to talk about today?
Correct.
And so the yellow rectangle that delineates the parcel?
Correct.
And what is the significance of the two colors that appear on this exhibit for background color?
So you see two colors. One is a bluish purple and the other is more of a pink. The bluish purple is labeled with a 2, that is for LRA 2, and the pinkish color is for LRA 3.
All right, we've had some testimony this morning with regard to productivity. Is LRA 2 more or less productive than LRA 3? Please don't interrupt.
More productive in LRA 2 than in LRA 3.
And the dividing line between these two colors, is it fair to say is fairly close to the yellow parcel?
And when it's zoomed out like this, it does look very close, but there's several acres between the corner of his property and the line.
All right, translating that distance from several acres, do you have a linear distance that's?
I did not calculate one, so I could not comfortably give you one.
All right. The Department of Revenue, through these various manuals and valuation studies that we've entered into evidence, provides your office with what the appropriate LRA is for every parcel of ag land?
Correct. This is the map that we use to determine LRA. So as you can see, the parcel is in that LRA 2 area, so it should be classified as LRA 2.
All right. But it has not been so classified by your office until 2025, correct?
Correct.
All right, so if you explain to the board why previous, up to and including the tax year 2024, it was in fact classified as LRA 3.
So we have been using a giant map of Sheridan County. Imagine a map that takes up this table in front of me. And it had been, several maps had been overlaid to identify the LRAs, the soil types, and general areas. And the scale of this map made it very easy to misclassify a parcel as when you're looking at a parcel that's 321 acres, it would be the size less than my thumb. And so it would be really easy working with such, with the scale of that map to misclassify a parcel in the wrong LRA.
So what transpired that caused your office to transition from using the paper maps to digital?
I had found that they were available as a GIS overlay and had asked for them to be put on the mapping so that we could be more accurate and we could zoom in to the parcels and would make it more efficient for our office to properly identify the LRAs.
Who did you ask to do that?
So I downloaded the maps from the assessor's portal, which is operated by the Department of Revenue, and gave them to Richard Immel, our GIS technician, who then worked with Rich Greenwood, who operates our map server, to put those onto the assessor's GIS layer within the GIS mapping program.
And from that mapping program, were you able to generate a paper map?
This is a product of that.
Thank you. So I just want to clarify, to to get the benefits of the precision that the digital format gives you, you don't have to look at a huge monitor or anything. You can translate that to paper,
Correct.
and that's what you did.
Yes.
So just to clarify, the reason for the change in the 2025 assessment from 2024, is it fair to say that the parcel's LRA is determined by the Department of Revenue? It didn't change, it was simply your ability to identify it that changed.
Correct.
If you know, is precipitation one of the factors used in the determination of an LRA?
It is one of the factors used to describe an LRA, along with topology or topography and other factors.
What, I don't know what tomography is, what's that word?
So the general flow of the land, so is it hilly, is it steep, are there slopes, what degree of slope? And so these areas have been looked at for that, and also vegetation, what vegetation communities are within the area.
All right, so there's more to defining an LRA than just precipitation.
Correct.
Does your office, how does differing soil types come into play for what you do in the assessor's office?
So LRAs look at a larger scale, and then soils is more directly related to the actual soil within the ground. Both are important when being able to estimate productivity. And with the soils, I want to speak just a moment to the soils. When we look at soils, we're not looking at the map, at the direct soils for the parcel. We're using more of a mass appraisal approach. So we're looking at a larger area, tabulating all the 6 soils within that larger area, coming up with percentages for each soil and applying it to all parcels within that area. As that was not one of the concerns addressed by Mr. Bates, we did not include any of that information in our packets.
So is it fair to characterize it as a more generalized look rather than specific?
Yes.
In terms of looking at the property profile, we have several of them in exhibits. We see class of LRAs, and then we see subclass, and they're identified as R-2, 3, so forth. What does the R- mean?
That's the range factor for rangeland, and it relates to how productive the soil is.
So that's where the soil comes into play on this document.
Correct.
Anything that pertains to this assessment and that I haven't asked you about that you think the board should know about?
I think you've covered everything.
Mr. Bates, any questions?
Yes. So Lorraine, in 5 years that you worked at the assessor's office, how many times have you went out and assessed ag range land?
I do most of that work by using aerial imageries from the office.
So like never in the field actually went out and looked at it?
I have been in the field before, just it's far and few between.
Okay, all right. And then you were talking about the LRAs and how they use more than just precipitation. You said they use topography, which is also elevation, correct?
Correct.
So as the elevation increases, they make an assumption that the precipitation increases as well.
I was not part of that, so I don't feel comfortable speaking on that.
Okay. Have you ever questioned so when you got the maps, the digitized maps from the Department of Revenue, correct? That's where you got them? Essentially. Did you ever question those? Like when you were changing my particular piece of ground from LRA 3 to 2, you knew that would increase my valuation of my land and then my taxes would increase. Did you ever question the maps from the Department of Revenue?
So I questioned our paper maps that we were using, and that's why I pushed to get the LRA mapped onto the GIS, so it would be easier to identify these parcels and look at them better and be able to look at these parcels and work with the Department of Revenue and make sure that they are being valued fairly and consistently.
But never questioned the Department of Revenue?
Not their methodology, no.
Okay. Can I enter in more evidence as rebuttal evidence?
You probably can at the end of Mr. Beaver's case if you have something else you want to issue as rebuttal evidence. I don't know where he's at on his case yet, if he's got anybody else he's going to call or how much you would have the ability to, I guess, present some sort of evidence if you have it with rebuttal with the condition that Mr. Beaver has no objection.
The assessor's case is complete.
Okay. I kind of thought it was, does the board have any questions on?
Yes, Nick Siddleman, Mr. Chairman. So Lorraine, in your evaluation then, in upgrading from the paper maps to the digitalized maps, it's your belief or your office's belief that this is more accurate now than it was when we were doing it from a paper map?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions from the board? Go ahead.
Mike Arzi, for Lorraine. We heard testimony that the annual precipitation is in question, I would say. In your opinion, would it be possible that they could have maybe made a mistake on that? And the information you got from the state is showing the annual precipitation as being higher than what it really is? Is it possible?
That's a general description of a very large area, and so there are going to be some differences based on exactly where they lie within that area, but again, the line has to be somewhere.
And you never did go out and take a look at this land either, right? It's
Well,
correct.
we would not, per the rules, we would not be allowed to change it based on current weather conditions.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Beaver. Mr. Bates, you have some rebuttal. This is your chance for rebuttal.
Yes, I do actually. I have the 2022 and 2023 Wyoming Ag Land Evaluation Study. I don't actually have these.
So I believe we finished with the additional at AF. So AG and AH, I think, would be these two.
No, those are those pictures.
Yeah.
Can I do the line Z because I don't have,
Sure.
I know I don't have those.
That'll be fine.
And each one of these needs to be labeled, I guess, is that correct?
If you could
I
label,
made it 6 copies.
yeah, that would be ideal, just so.
All right. Give me 1 minute here.
Yep.
Sorry, I wasn't planning on admitting
No,
this.
no worries.
So basically, I just have on page 4 from each of the 2023 and 2022 ag land valuation studies. And these are produced by the Department of Revenue.
Mr. Beebe, any objection?
They may be excludable based on relevance, but Mr. Bates could explain relevance, hopefully.
Okay, we will accept it. Go ahead and pass them out, thank you. It's always better to have too much than nothing. Okay, Mr. Bates.
Okay, the relevance of these is, basically the Department of Revenue was never questioned with the change in the maps. I guess assuming that their information is correct, but, this cap rate or capitalization rate is used in calculating your, price per acre of your ag range land. And if you'll notice on your cap rate, from the 2022 ag range land valuation study, the yearly average rate is 4.617. And if you go to the 2023, that rate changed.
I don't have those years.
I don't have 22, 23.
Well, I'm just saying the same year on each sheet, so
Okay.
2020 on each sheet. If you look, that rate has changed. And even as in 2025, if you look at that, that rate, it's the same as what the 2023 one is. So for some reason, that number changed. And it shouldn't have. All the rest of them are always the same. These are actually 2 years in arrears when they start using this rate. So I guess my point is, that maybe somebody should question the Department of Revenue as their information is not always accurate. Thank you.
Mr. Beaver, do you want to have any rebuttal on that, or?
I get like call a witness to testify regarding that.
That will be fine.
Okay. Call Paul Fall as a witness.
Go ahead.
He's already been sworn in.
Yes, he has. I already did that, so.
Okay, just a second. Mr. Fall, you had a chance to review those last two exhibits that Mr. Bates has entered into evidence?
Yes, I have.
And do you understand the question that he's raising about the differences in 1 year in the cap rate?
I do after looking at it. Could either
Can
be
you
a type.
explain to the board why that might be different?
Generally, the cap rates are gonna change every year, but they should have the same cap rate on the same years going back when we're looking at the 5-year weighted average, so without talking to Dave Frank at the Department of Revenue, I wouldn't be able to tell you why that had changed, 2020 should be the same as 2020 on each study. Well, it appears to be a typo or there's an error on there.
Thank you.
Any questions, Mr. Bates?
So Paul, you're basically saying the Department of Revenue could have made a mistake.
Sure.
Thank you.
Any questions from the board for Mr. Fall?
Yes, Mr. Williams.
Go ahead. Identify yourself.
Yeah, Christy Haswell. Mr. Fall, just kind of an educational thing for me. How does the Department of Revenue, how often do they review these maps or categories, the cap rates? I mean, how does that work?
Paul Hall, County Assessor, Commissioner Haswell. Now, the agricultural study is done annually, so they do that every single year.
Yeah.
So I don't have it in front of me, but if you go through and read that whole study, they're redoing the numbers every single year based on, again, we're looking at dry crop, if you look at irrigated, it's based on the price of hay throughout the state. They send out studies for this every year. Dry crop is based on the price of wheat. It's all based on a 5-year weighted average. They're using the Omaha Bank rates, so they're gonna change every year. Rangeland is, of course, we've been talking about, it's based on animal units a month. So the study is done every year, so that's why I think they must have had a typo on this one, but they have a meeting annually. I don't know, Mr. Bates, I think we told you about meetings ended when it was. I don't know if you're interested in doing, we already had it, but.
Probably making enough enemies today.
But they do it annually, and they do it in Cheyenne, and invite public come down, and
Okay,
generally nobody shows up. I mean, a couple.
okay, yeah,
So it's an annual, so the values are gonna change annually,
right.
up or down.
But those LRAs, I mean, unless they have comments from the public saying, hey, we question this, does NRS then assist them with that? What does that look like? I mean, it sounds like it's been decades since they've.
Maps haven't been updated. I mean, they look at them, I think, not annually. I'm sure every 5-10 years maybe, but to get another study done, I don't know that anybody will ever want to fund that again, or, to do something so in-depth as they did in the original study on soil top precipitation. So we, of course, we're bound by the Department of Revenue rules. They write the rules, whatever the legislature passes, so we gotta follow those. And so we, we're always gonna have the assumption that the information they're giving us is correct, so.
Mr. Williams, just a
free.
follow-up question. Christy Haswell, for Mr. Bates. I mean, I appreciate this is a tough situation because having an increase in taxes, stinks, frankly. But your office, by the administrative rules, isn't allowed to modify the published LRA. So I'm wondering, I guess what the follow-up would be, or what your hopes were, Mr. Bates, today with even like these R values, or if there's something else we can check. I guess in my mind, I'm just kind of stuck on, how, we could talk to Department of Revenue about looking at these LRAs again, or particular, I don't know.
I guess the point I would like to bring up is that the maps were supplied to the assessor's office, and that's the approved map because their maps have got to be approved by the Department of Revenue. I fully understand that. The part that I struggle with is that the maps are not questioned as people's properties are being moved into a higher tax bracket. Could there possibly be, when they, possibly hire the cheapest bidder to digitize all of their maps, that they made a mistake and my property still resides in the LRA 3 as it has for years, and the cheapest bidder put me, blurry lines, whatever it is. To me, the data that I have shows that my property should still be in LRA 3. So if they had some sort of data that says, okay, well, your precipitation increased, your soil types improved somehow, that doesn't happen, but if there was something to say, this is why we moved you to LRA 2 versus just the cheapest bidder put you there, I would probably be more accepting of it.
Sure, and I wish the Department of Revenue was here to answer those questions.
So this is my avenue to get to them, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions?
Mike Harsing. Mr. Bates, I'm pretty familiar with that area. My Uncle Ed Mick used to run a place on the old Butterfield place up on top. And I seem to remember looking at data that showed that rainfall line as being right on top of Jim Creek Hill. And a lot less on the east side. And that's my hangup with this whole thing, because I can never remember 15 inches of rain on the east side. I'm thinking there's something wrong there myself personally. That's my thought process, having the ranching background that I do. I also, I feel for you, but I don't know where this board can go with this, I guess is what I'm like Christie at War. I don't know where we can take this. We can make some calls, I guess. That's about the extent of it that I know of. So, but I do agree that I do not think the rainfall is there that they're saying on that GIS map that they're saying is there. So I agree with that.
So you as the board do not have the authority to override what the Department of Revenue states happens in your county?
I guess that would be a question for our attorney on that, actually. Putting you on the spot, I'm sorry, Clint, but
Mr. Wright, will we be doing closing statements?
We will be doing closing statements, so you can probably kind of address the role of the board in these hearings. That might be beneficial to everybody. So we'll hold off on that one. Does anybody else have any other questions at this point? Okay, so Mr. Bates, would you like to do a closing?
I will look if I can find it here. Yes. So there was a lot of information presented here today. it can be confusing and overwhelming at times. My hope is that the information that was presented in a way that you can understand it and come up with the same conclusion I have. The particular piece of property that we have discussed today should be placed back into LRA3 classification and adjust the R subclasses to better represent the map produced by the assessor's office and classify the correct acres of land classified as waste per State Department of Revenue and the soil studies conducted by the NRCS, the same study used to create R subclasses.
Mr. Beaver?
Thank you. As the board's heard today, it took us a while to get it all out, but it boils down to the fact that the parcel in question did not get reclassified in 2025. It's been an LO2. It simply has been identified more accurately by the tool that the assessor's office now has through the GIS office and having a digitized image. You've worked with maps at all, you understand that scale is incredibly important. You can step off a mountain if you've got a bad map in terms of scale. So the fact that we now have the digitized version makes it much more accurate, and we're simply, as the assessor's office, implementing the more accurate classification. Now, to address Commissioner Arze's concern, this is an administrative hearing. There'll be an administrative record that will close when I stop talking, and that your decision has to be based on the record. There cannot be any additional information or inquiries by the board members that would be ex parte and extrajudicial. So you're going to be bound by the evidence that you heard this morning. And we would urge you to affirm the assessor's valuation for 2025. He does have the presumption under the rules that you're operating this hearing under of correctness, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Beaver. So at this point, this is where the board has to make the decision. They have a couple of options. You can take the matter under advisement, I guess discuss it as a board, and then come out with a order later. You can make a decision today with regards to how you want to handle the tax protest. You can ask both parties to submit proposed rules, findings of fact, and then pick one. If the board chooses to make the decision today, it probably makes sense for me to type up the order and submit it to the board to approve. So it is now back in the board's hands.
Very good. I would say that the board will take this matter under advisement and will issue a finding of fact.
Which is fine. I certainly think if you guys decide you want to take it under advisement, at some point you have to vote on this.
Yeah.
So whether that's it today or whether that's something you have to call the board back into session to do, you're going to want a formal vote saying what you've decided to do. When that's done, you can communicate it, I guess, to me, and I can type up the order based on that.
What's everybody's pleasure on that? Do you want to vote right now, or do you want to think about it and not get any sleep tonight and vote on it some other time?
Mr. Chairman, I guess I have to say who I am, right? So, I don't know what good it's gonna do to delay the response over what we're going to do. I certainly empathize with the landowner, but, and I guess I'm prepared to vote at this point in time. I'm not sure about everybody else.
Okay. All right. I would agree. I would rather, Lonnie, right, I would rather vote right now and give everybody our decision. Anybody else?
Holly Jennings, I think there's a lot to look through here and read, and I maybe would like, I mean, if the rest of the board wants to vote, that's fine. As for myself, I would like more time, but I can understand why you would want to vote now.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman, yeah, it is a lot of information, and appreciate, Mr. Bate, all the time that you spent putting the soils and precip information together. But I am really stuck on section 4. Exhibit, Christie Haswell, exhibit 10, that the county assessor shall not modify the published LRA due to the current weather or precipitation conditions. I just don't see a rule around those administrative rules. And it's unfortunate. I'm sure you're not the only one. And again, I mean, I wish Department of Revenue was here today. And I'm interested to find out more on how they can update this, or at least look at the boundary line and really understand what's changed with some of the evidence that you presented. So I would be ready to vote today.
Commissioner Arzee, are you prepared to vote today?
I am.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just as a question, being new to this, since this is my first board equalization hearing, whatever the vote is today, is there an appeals process, and where does that go?
I can answer that. There is an appeals process. So either the assessor or Mr. Bates, depending which way the decision were to go, has the ability to appeal this to the State Board of Equalization. The statutes outline the timeframes. I don't have them off the top of my head, but certainly they can be appealed to the State Board, which actually may get you some more answers to some of the questions that you had brought up, Mr. Bates. But yes, there is a chance to move to the next step.
To proceed.
So to proceed, you would do this kind of like you do in a county commission meeting. You would take a motion, a second, and then vote that route.
Ready for a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I move to affirm the assessor's office evaluation of the Bates property, and that we support the results of the assessor's office.
Second.
The motion and the second. Discussion.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
although I made the motion, I mean, I'm apprehensive about it. I certainly understand the evaluation of agricultural property and the frustration based by the perceived moving of a line from a paper map to a digital map. I tend to believe, I mean, I have a digital map on my phone anymore. I tend to believe that the digital is probably more accurate than a paper map, but yet still, I have a paper map that I spread out on my table all the time and look at it too. So I mean, I certainly understand the perception there, but we can't randomly move that line, and if that line were randomly moved in a rectangle above it, where does it move in correlation to all the other properties in the area? And that might be a wider discussion for the landowners out there to try and go to the Department of Revenue and get the line changed. And if the Department of Revenue changes the line, then we can change what we do. So I just think that we're held by the way the line is now on the digital process.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, I would agree that this is a very, very difficult issue, because I don't think there's really, on either side, there's really not any malfeasance of, you had this line for all of these years, it's been this, and all of a sudden it's trying to make maps better, and so it's different here. I really, one of the reasons why I brought up the question about it going further is, this seems to be an issue where Department of Revenue, the map that they have created, that might be where the issue lies of fixing that and saying, wait a minute, look at the actual precipitation on this area versus where the line is at. And so I think my hope is that should you appeal, that's one of the things that can move forward. Because I agree with you, I think we really need to look at that precipitation line. But to get to that process, I don't know if at this level that we're the correct ones. As Commissioner Haswell stated, you guys are following the rules that have been given. That's your statutory duty. So I very, very much would love to see the Department of Revenue move forward with maybe actually looking into where that line should be.
Anyone else? Discussion?
I just would reiterate that I take exception with the rainfall, with the amount of moisture that's in that area. I just do not, it's not there. So I totally agree that there needs to be, I think that it needs to be looked at a state level, and I guess I agree with you guys. It really, I think there's an error there, I really do. And you guys you gotta follow the law, you gotta do what you gotta, but I really feel there are errors in the mapping of that, so, thank you.
Anyone else? Is that everyone? Yeah, every one of these I've been involved with, I do lose sleep over because I see both sides of it. I don't like either side, but in the end, we have to go with the law. And so I will be in favor of the assessor's evaluation, so. Other discussion, hearing none? All's in favor of the motion to approve the assessor's evaluation, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion passes.
I abstain.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't know if this would be just a point of clarification. Mike, were you gonna, Commissioner Hersey, were you gonna vote against the motion?
No, I was.
Oh, we just got to the microphone.
I just think.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
I thought it was unanimous, but all matters that have come before the board have been concluded. Thank you for everyone coming in and stating your case and your presentations, and I'm going to say we're adjourned at 11:59.